Over how do you do the two-point pin connection. So when you click on it, we are going to go in there. It's going to load up, get started. First is we want to download these files. You don't have to create any of them. We download them there. Key thing though, because it isn't a zip file, it's got the little zipper, we do need to extract them. So we come over here to downloads. All we have to do is right click, extract all, and then those will all pop up. All right, so we're gonna leave those there and open up Inventor. So we're going to start a new, and it's going to be a standard assembly file. So make sure you're clicking on this one because that's the ones we want to bring in. And then we are going to place our components. So we go to downloads in here, and we can just click on the top, hold shift, and click on the bottom one. It's got all 5 in there. We're gonna open them, which gives it all here. Zoom out a little bit. All I gotta do is click to place them and hit escape. So these are all that we need. I'm gonna just kind of separate them just so we've got an idea of what we're doing there. All right, so now we're gonna put this together. So it doesn't give us much, but if we look at our front view here, we can see that gray block is in underneath the green one. It's got that black pin through it, and then on top, you've got the gold piece on top with the white or metal pin on top. So we're gonna start with the bottom pieces of there. Okay, so since this block is basically the one on the bottom, this is the one I'm going to ground. Just because we want everything else to be able to move. So we're just gonna right click on that, ground that. So now we have a steady base. So now for these, putting these together, we are not gonna be using joints, we're gonna be using constraints. So constraints basically lock in usually about 1 degree of freedom, maybe 2 on certain ones. It kind of depends. But for each one, it's basically 2 constraints. So when we click constraints, we want to make sure that this green piece is right over this shiny block here. We want to make sure, obviously, the holes that line up with each other. So that's usually the first place I start, is we can see the holes that are there need to line up because this black pin needs to go in between them. So we're going to start, first off, it's again, what are we bringing over to the grounded? So the first one is what we want to move, so that's why I'm gonna go start with the green one. Now, I'm gonna zoom into the hole. What I want when I click it in is the inside of that hole, and how you know it's right is you have the dotted center line that kind of cuts through it, and you can, as I zoom out, you can see better that it goes through the whole thing. So we wanna basically line up those center lines for each of them. And then I come over here to the block again, that inside of the block until I see that dotted center line. I want to see the dotted center line. If you don't see it, keep kind of moving your mouse over to get there. So when we click that, it's going to snap in there. Now, as you can see, it kind of, is in between each other, crossing over each other. I'm going to just click apply, and let's close that. So now what it is it moves, but those center lines are lined up. So no matter where I move my green piece, it's always going to be locked in with the same center line. Now, obviously in the real world, I can't have this happen where it goes in between each other. They're not ghost products. So the other part is I need to then lock it into where this face does not intersect with the face behind it, or this face here on there doesn't intersect with that. So I'm going to use constraints again. Now, it doesn't matter which faces you use, but what you want to do is kind of slide the green piece so you have a better angle to view the inside of it, whether it's this back one, or if you flipped it around and had it over here, you'd probably want that a little bit further out, but either way. So I'm going to click this face. Now here's the key. If you can kind of see it, it's got the X there with the arrow coming out, and it's bordered on that face. Make sure you're clicking that inside face because that's what it's gonna take. And you can see there, that's where it's highlighted. Now I want that one to basically match up, and I will flip this around to this face, which again, I want the arrow kind of pointing out and the green border is there. And when I lock those in, it'll snap together, and basically it is going to make them or put them together in that those two faces will always be together. So I click OK. You can see here it moves back and forth, but I can't actually move it anywhere along that line like we could before. It just rotates like it should. Okay, so that's step one. So we have this in here where it's inserted, but we want to lock it in because if this slides out, it's not going to be any good. So we're going to use our constraints again. All right, in this case, so where we're going to click is we're going to click on this flat surface of the end. Make sure it's the end, not this part, but the actual like end, because it does curve. So we want that one. And then we're going to click on this flat surface of the block. Now you'll notice here it doesn't do anything because it's not quite what we want. So what we have to do here, because the mate makes sure it touches it, which they're not going to touch, we want this one. It's the flush, which is going to make it lined up. All right, now you will notice it doesn't look like the picture. It's not in the center. You've got this whole thing hanging off. So we want to offset it, which basically moves this to where there is a dimension outwards. So we didn't do this before, but this pin, the black pin, is 5 inches. This block is 2 inches. So basically we have 3 inches that are going to be hanging over on each side. So if we want the same on both sides, all we have to do is divide by 2. So 3 divided by 2, that is 1.5. We put that in as the offset. Oh, it's going backwards. So that means we just have to make that negative, and that should line it up. And we click OK. And we're here, and you can see now my pin doesn't move. I still have that freedom right there to work with. Okay, so the top is basically the same thing. It's just with these pieces. So again, constraint, we're going to come over here to one of the inside of the holes. Again, make sure you see that center line. We're going to click there, and onto this top one. Again, make sure we see that center line. So we click there, click apply. All right, now you can see again, it's moving, but we've got that gold piece kind of there. So I'm going to put it off so I can see some flat surfaces. So again, constraint, just like the last one, we want this inside surface, and I want it to touch, and I'm going to flip it around to this outside surface. All right, and if we look at our view, that looks pretty good to us. Click apply. And then the similar thing to our pin. So again, we want to first insert it. So we're looking for that center line, which is there. And we go to our hole, which again, we're looking for that center line, which is there. All right, so now that we have this piece in there, and again, same problem is it slides all over the place. So we want to match these up. So again, we use our constraints. In this case, this pin fits perfectly in there, so we don't have to worry about offsets. All you got to do is go to this flat piece here, or it's curved, but that side, and then the outer piece here, we're going to click, and it should get it nice and smooth there, so it fits right in. All right, so now when it comes to the actual question that it's asking, so we did number 2 there, so go to Inspect tab on the ribbon and select the measure icon. Select the following faces shown at image E and F. So first we have here, we can see the image where the pin or this gold piece is kind of slightly down. That's standing up, so that's what we want to do. We're going to put that as best we can. So it looks like that. Now here, if we go to an inspect, you can see the measure icon right there will get it to you. It also has the quick key, which all you got to do is if you just type M, it'll also work. And we just want to hit, which let me double check. So we want to hit the front face or one of the faces of E, which is on the opposite side of where the gold's facing, to F, which is that flat face. So we're going to come over here. We're going to click on that one. So we click over here, and then you click over here, and that will give you the dimensions. So I'm not going to show that to you because that is what you need to report.